Hi, I'm Casey Keel. Many of you probably are familiar with my writing from my blog, Middle School Teacher to Literacy Coach. Today I'm here to talk a little bit about my newest Teachers Pay Teachers product that I just posted, and it's called Reading Workshop Kickoff. And it is designed for you to start using day one when you head back to school, and it's 25 mini lessons to help you implement the routines and expectations needed to be successful in the implementation of Reading Workshop. So today I just want to talk to you a little bit more about that product and what is included within this resource. This is a resource that I've been thinking about making for a very long time, but it's really taken a lot of brain power on how to actually put the pieces together in a way to share it with all of you. Couldn't be more excited about the way it turned out. It ended up just being this resource that I just became very passionate about with how many hours I put into it and the quality of materials that I made for it. I'm excited to be using it for the first 25 mini lessons in my classroom starting out this new school year. So before I start, I just want to explain to you that as part of the product, I put together a framework for what the reading workshop would look like depending on how many minutes you have to teach reading in your daily schedule. So depending on if you have 30, 45, or 60 minutes or more, I've laid out how the different pieces of reading workshop, such as interactive read aloud, the whole group mini lesson, the guided reading, the literature circles, the reading conferences, how those things all fit together within those different time constraints. So this is included, and this is something that I know a lot of people are wondering about how it all works, how it all fits together. That's all here. What else is included in the product? The 25 lessons basically walk students through constructing a reader's notebook, and then also just the different instructional techniques that they're going to be exposed to during reading workshop and how they behave as students during those instructional techniques in order to make those possible and successful within your classroom. So as part of the product, students will be constructing a reader's notebook. And everything that I'm about to show you in the reader's notebook, including the cover, including the tabs, those are all available in this product as well, in black and white and in color. So obviously you can see the cover and the tabs on the side. There's 6 main tabs that are part of the reader's notebook. The first one is an independent reading tracker tab, where students can keep track of all the books they read on their reading logs, all the books they want to read on their Books I Want to Read list. That's also in this tab. The third part of the tab is the genre characteristics portion, where there's different charts to help students figure out which genre the book that they're reading is in, and also to help them build their genre knowledge throughout the year as that is constructed based on the text that they're reading. So this independent reading tracker tab is really about keeping track of the books they're reading, what kind of variety of books they're reading, and just being able to reflect on that and learn from their patterns as readers. The second tab is the mini lessons tab. This is the tab that students are going to be interacting with on a daily basis because every day in reading workshop you're going to be giving a mini lesson, and that mini lesson I have students write down. This is also the place where during that mini lesson you're going to be modeling different ways to apply that mini lesson to independent reading. And so if there are notes that are taken during the have a go part, students would write that here. If there's an application of the mini lesson where students have to do a written response, they'd write that right underneath their mini lesson tab as well. So a lot of stuff happens in this section of the notebook. The third tab is the Writing About Reading tab. Included in the Writing About Reading tab are Writing About Reading genres, where it lists all different types of genres of writing about reading and gives a description of what those genres are. Included in the product are 3 mini lessons on 3 of these genres, and I recommend that throughout the year you teach the rest of the genres and then give students choice, where once a week they're doing a writing about reading, selecting a genre they want to write in, and writing their reading response in this section of the notebook. Also included is a Writing About Reading topics list with some very highly engaging questions that students can reference. And I also, for all the Writing About Reading included in the Kickoff product, I did a model of that genre of writing that I've included in the product as well. The next section is the goals and reflections. What I've really learned from teaching and reading workshop is such a big part of it is developing that intrinsic motivation within students. And you can't really do that if you don't have students set goals and reflect on what they've done as readers. So we're not just trying to get students ready for a standardized test. We're trying to get students to really like to read and decide who they are as readers and how reading is helpful in their lives. So a big part of that is to set aside time every month to think about and reflect on what they've done as readers during the previous month and what they'd like to do as readers and set goals for the next month. So for each month of the school year, included in this tab is a reflection on the previous month and then a goal for the current month. So that's included for every month of the school year. And then the next tab is the guided reading tab. In the guided reading tab, you'll find a guided reading preparation checklist along with a guided reading organization sheet where they can organize and keep track of what page they need to read to for the next group meeting date. And then the last tab is the literature circles tab. And once again, it includes a literature circles preparation checklist and a literature circles organization sheet. A new one of these would be added for each book that they read in literature circles throughout the year. So that is the reader's notebook that the students construct. This is something that goes far beyond the first 25 mini lessons of reading workshop in the kickoff product. This is something that once you set this up, every day for the rest of the school year, you will be using this notebook in reading workshop. And I've just found that it's so much better than a basic notebook for keeping students organized and for really getting them to be invested in their reading. Also included in the product, like I've mentioned, are the 25 mini lessons. Every mini lesson is going to include the materials needed for students and teacher, a book talk, a mini lesson statement that lays out in the form of readers do this, so that, and it gives the rationale. So those are all written out for you. It also includes a modeling of what you should do to model that reading concept to students so that they understand what it means to apply that concept as readers. Moving along, the next part of the mini lesson is the have a go, which is going to gradually release the responsibility to the students, where it's like a guided practice where students are trying out the mini lesson concept maybe in partners, maybe as a whole class, still with teacher support. And the final step of the mini lesson is going to be the application, where students take that mini lesson and apply it to their independent reading. During this time, this is when reading conferences happen. This is when guided reading happens. This is when literature circles happen depending on the day. So in order to get to that point where you can do small group and individualized instruction, you need to get into the reading workshop routine where you're doing the mini lesson so that students have that independent skill that you taught in the mini lesson that they're applying independently to their independent reading. And that's what all the rest of the students are doing while you do small group and individualized instruction. The last part included with each mini lesson is going to be the share. The share is going to be like a focus question to get students to reflect on what they did as readers that day. Sometimes they might share it with a partner, sometimes in small groups, sometimes as a whole class, and that's all laid out for you as well. In addition, each of the 25 mini lessons includes a presentation that goes slide by slide, that goes straight along with the lesson, and you will be able to project that presentation as you teach the lesson. I've really found that students respond very well to a visual as you're giving the mini lesson. So if they're not listening to you, at least they can look up at the board and they can read what's going on and know still what the expectations, what they're supposed to be doing during that mini lesson would be. The last part of the mini lessons that's included are all of the handouts that go with the mini lesson. So any handout that I reference in the mini lesson is also going to be included with the product. The other part of the product that I'm probably the most excited about that I put a ton of time into are the teacher binders. There's going to be a teacher binder for reading workshop instruction where it's going to involve like how to plan for whole group, small group, and individualized instruction and give you some sheets to help you do that. It's going to include an independent reading check-in. It's going to include mini lesson template sheets and how to plan out those in the future. The other teacher binder is the small group reading instruction binder, and that binder is going to be more focused on guided reading and literature circles, and it will include literature circles and guided reading grading rubric, places to take anecdotal notes for guided reading and for literature circles, the framework for the lessons for both of those instructional contexts. So it's just a very resource-rich product that's going to give you everything you need to not only teach, but to understand why you're teaching that way, to assess your students and how they're teaching it. Many different rubrics are included within this product. And then those explicit instructions on how to kick off the reading workshop so that you don't just implement it jumping in, teaching reading. You implement it by jumping in and teaching those routines and expectations and setting up what that looks like. Because without those, you'll never be successful in having a reading workshop in a classroom of middle school, high school, upper elementary school students, because those routines will never make it possible for you to do small group and individual instruction. So I'm very excited that you're interested in this product. I'm very happy to be sharing it with you, and I hope that it's helpful to you. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact me by email, kbkiehl@gmail.com. And thank you again for your interest in this product.